Guillermo Del Toro making Frankenstein, sign me up. But that idea didn't turn out as well as I might have thought. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. The IMDb synopsis for Frankenstein, the 2025 Netflix movie, reads, "A brilliant but egotistical scientist brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation." Okay, so I have not read the book. I saw the 1994 Kenneth Branagh movie years and years ago, remember liking it, feeling like it was haunting and very compelling, but those are faded memories. I just asked myself when watching this movie, okay, am I enjoying this? Am I appreciating this? So I'll let other people do those kinds of comparative reviews. I would describe this in terms of story, script, pacing, tone as a horror drama. It's not trying to scare, at least I hope not, because it didn't scare me at all. It has horror aesthetics, like a zombie-looking, stitched-together man out of Tim Burton's sketchbook. It's got gore and some blood as dead bodies are opened up or mutilated, and as the creature kills people or animals. But apart from mild gore shock, it does not feel like a horror movie, but rather a drama with horror trappings. It's got a slow burn start as Victor's backstory, Victor Frankenstein's backstory, is told, involving his upbringing, his relationship with his not great dad, the later pursuit of romance with his brother's fiancée. Victor is a tragic, flawed character who retaliates against the hurts done to him in life by becoming absorbed in selfish ambition. The creature is a tragic, pitiable figure that is violent when defending himself or when in somewhat understandable rage at being mistreated, but he's not a sadistic or even a selfish character. Rather, he is largely depicted as pure, gentle, and selfless, innocent, almost childlike in many respects, contrasted with Victor. At 2.5 hours, this movie felt a little longer to me than it needed to be, and I think that's mostly because of the melodramatic tone that is lightly injected throughout the whole movie, which is a combination of things in the shots, design elements, certain colors being used. It didn't quite feel grounded in general, in performances and the way it was shot, all that stuff. And so that worked against it for me when it seemed like the script and what they were giving attention to wanted to focus more on drama. I would have loved a truly grounded and realistic feeling drama that had horror elements, but the tone here never, for me, fully settles into true drama with real emotional weight. There's things about it that just lift it out a little bit of being grounded. Okay, as far as the cast goes, Oscar Isaac is always interesting for me to watch, but this role and the tonal direction didn't provide the opportunity for him that I would want him to have. Jacob oh crap, I must have misspelled that. I have Elordet. That can't be right. It's probably something else. Anyways, it's a name I don't recognize. And he plays the creature, and I felt his performance mode was a bit one note, that of a sort of sad, simple creature that we should pity and who is always struggling to talk. I don't think that's necessarily an issue of the actor's skill. I think a lot of this comes down to choice that the director is making and how the actor is being coached. But at some point, this lack of variation that I felt in that performance just disconnected me from the character. Let's see. As far as stunts and visuals, I mean, I like the visual designs here, but I wish the lighting were less even. Everything's very evenly lit. They want to make sure we can see it all. The contrast is really narrow. We don't really have things disappearing into inky shadow at all. And I think that could have really helped the vibe, the tone of this movie. When everything is so well lit and so perfectly visible, the world feels too clean. It feels unlived in. It feels not grounded in reality. It's the way a lot of TV shows are lit. And that also kind of works against them for me as well. Then you add to this what is for me this undefinable haze of standard quality CG backgrounds and artificiality in like CG animals. And I just really start to check out from any sense that this is a real place somewhere. And I need it to feel like a real place so that I can invest more in the drama, the weight, the stakes. There were definitely some good practical props and makeup, and I would expect that from Del Toro. But there was still a lot of CG backdrops and miscellaneous stuff, mostly animals being recreated in CG. There's a scene where, someone says, wolves, like, oh no, wolves are coming. And I think I might have even muttered out loud here at home, oh, don't worry, they're just CG wolves. And they were. So my vote is, if you want to use this much CG, then give more realistic contrast to your lighting. Hide some details a little bit, because the CG just gives away the artificiality of it to me. If you don't do that, then you've got this 1-2 punch of lighting and CG that makes something fake feeling in its visuals in a way that really hurts the experience for me. All right, themes. Is there anything of moral, philosophical, or spiritual significance going on in the themes of this thing that could trigger some worthwhile thought or conversation? Well, I'm guessing there's a good amount in the source material. I feel like there's all kinds of potential all over the script. Two things that stand out. I mean, the tagline for the movie, I think, is "Only a monster plays God" or something like that. So they really tell us in their promotion going into this movie, Victor is the real monster. The creature isn't the monster. Victor is the monster. And I get it. And then on top of that, the creature is presented pretty innocent, pretty faultless. When he does lash out, I think there's at least some degree to which it's understandable. And I wish that he was a more flawed creature, a more dangerous, somebody that I was afraid, like, how's he going to lash out next? What is he going to do next? I think that we all need to recognize that our hurt and our pain are legitimate, but they can also lead us to sinful reactions. Instead of thinking, as we often do, that like our hurt justifies our just bitterness. It justifies our anger. Now we see that, I think, in Victor, that his hurt is taking him down a dark path that he is ultimately choosing, but we don't see it much in the creature. Since we all feel like we're just misunderstood when people say we're in the wrong, I don't know that anybody, like, immediately that's the first thing when someone says, hey, you're being wrong, you shouldn't be angry, whatever. We all feel justified in our anger. And I would have loved a movie that challenged that in us more. A movie in which the creature was also deeply flawed, because that could more potentially lead us, I think, to examine ourselves in a admittedly difficult but helpful way, instead of just kind of allowing us, as I think this script does, to just identify with the creature and gravitate more and more toward feeling like we're the misunderstood monster as we end up hurting other people. There's also a theme of forgiveness, but it feels too simplistic and simplistically delivered for me. In fact, throughout the movie, and I suspect this is probably because of the source material, but I don't know, throughout the movie, and even in this final quote on a black screen right before the credits, there are numerous little ideas and themes just being referenced but not developed or spoken to with any real depth. Lots of opportunities, and not really any significantly taken in a way that I felt the impact of. All right, no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, you can skip this one, man. You like Del Toro's visual aesthetics for sure. You are a Del Toro fan in many respects, but the combination of stylistic choices result in a horror drama that lacks true weight for you in either the horror or the drama. And at 2.5 hours, the things that don't work only get louder and louder to you, making you less and less interested as you watch. This one's rated R for bloody violence and grisly images. And those are all of my thoughts for now on Frankenstein, the 2025 Netflix movie. As always, love getting your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. I would imagine there's going to be very different opinions from mine about this movie, so feel free to share those. Also, please like, share, subscribe, click that bell to stay connected. I do want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for making so much of my content possible. You can get info about the benefits of joining at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Then, I hope you will check out our podcast and stay connected to all CGC content over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.